The Common University Entrance Test is a common entrance exam that is to be conducted by NTA for UG admissions across a total of 54 central universities. The CUET exam will be conducted in 13 languages and will have 3 sections of questions. The amount of attention that CUET is drawing, it is essential for all aspirants to know the CUET exam pattern so that they can develop an effective exam strategy to ace CUET 2022. The exam will have 3 sections and the first section will be divided into 2 subparts. As students from different states and boards will be appearing for CUET, the NTA has provided choice in all sections of the question paper. However, the total number of attempted questions remains the same. Here is a list of universities and colleges accepting CUET. Remember to keep the following guidelines in mind while selecting your subjects for CUET. Choose the language in which you have expertise. 13 language papers are in Section 1A and 19 papers are in Section 1B. Students who want to graduate with a degree in a particular language must take language paper from 1B. A candidate can select a maximum of 6 subjects from the 27 domain-specific subjects. So, a student seeking admission to a biotechnology program would select biology as a prerequisite course. The general test will cover a wide range of topics including general knowledge, current events, general mental aptitude, quantitative reasoning, and logical and analytical thinking. The CUET examination will be conducted in 2 slots. In slot 1, which will be held in morning shift, a candidate may take up to 4 tests only. In slot 2, which will be held in the afternoon shift, a candidate can take up to 5 tests. For the domain-specific subjects, knowing the essential ideas of the subject you've chosen will help you earn more points in this area. In addition, you should select courses that interest you and that you look forward to learning more about in the future. For the aptitude exam, make sure to have regular preparation. Manage your time and avoid bringing up difficult topics on a regular basis. Also make sure to create a list of formulas and key terms that you're studying to assist you in remembering them when it's time to revise. The more familiar you are with the subject, the less time you should devote to that subject. Don't limit your preparation to 12th boards only. Practice from sample papers and good reference guides. Lastly, here is a schedule of the important dates to keep in mind for the CUET examination. Thanks for watching. Edudevs wishes you all the very best.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to one and all. And today I'm extremely delighted to have a very illustrious panel with us. I welcome you all to a new episode of Futuristic Education, a web series dedicated to education. An Edudevs initiative in association with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to enlighten and empower the education community in the latest trends in education sector. These are a city-based web series where edu leaders are invited from a particular city to voice their views on pertinent issues on the 21st century education. Today's city happens to be Lucknow, and today's topic is decoding, understanding the CUET. Common University Entrance Test. I am Devyani Kapoor and I welcome you all once again. You see, Delhi University cutoffs often touched 100%, even in subjects like English. For an average scorer, it was impossible to study for a top college. But now, with CUET, everyone has a fair chance. For many courses, only an aptitude and one language-based exam is needed. It is, students, a golden opportunity. You can burn the midnight oil and clinch a seat in the most prestigious college of your choice. The CUET is no doubt a step in the new direction and has faced both approvals and criticism from the experts. Today, we attempt to bring and deliberate upon both these perspectives, as well as understand what is the format and structure of the same, considering 6th May happens to be the last date to fill the CUET application form. Without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed panel, and I'm so happy that so many other people have joined in. We have with us Ms. Poonam Kuchetti, a seasoned academician, Principal, St. Anandram Jaipuriya School, Shahid Path, Lucknow. We welcome you, ma'am. Along with that, we have Ms. Shalini Jaiswal, Principal, St. M.R. Jaipuriya School, again Shahid Path, Lucknow. We welcome you. We also have with us a very, very prominent personality whom I'm very impressed with, Ms. Pramini Chopra. She is again from M.R. Jaipuriya School, Gomti Nagar. Am I right, ma'am? And we have with us Mr. Sudhir Katumala, Head Career Counselor, Directorate of Admissions, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. Welcome you, Mr. Sudhir. We will be shortly joined by with Dr. Mala Mehra, Principal Horner College, Lucknow, Mr. Avni Kamal, and Ms. Soma Dam, Head Senior Secondary School, Career Guidance Coach, Counselor, and from Sun City World School, Gurgaon. We have seen, and I was actually reading a note by Ujjwal Singh, CEO, Infinity, who rightly said that, and we were actually discussing before we joined, we started the webinar, that full 2 years of schooling we lost in pandemic. The schools were actually juggling, trying to put a regime into a disruptive scenario. Teachers were struggling with hands-on with the technology. Schools were fighting multiple battles. We gradually started schools offline, and we saw that we had something very beautiful coming in, which was CUET, which is a step, definitely a step in the right direction, and aspiration of the national education policy to put India's admission process at par with the global universities. The admission process must have more relevant assessment components, and CUET is designed to do that. World over, core aptitudes and domain applications are the key criteria for admission, which is true. But did we do it in a little hurry? Could we have waited 1 more year? Let's deliberate and see what our experts have to say. I will ask a common question and take opinion of our experts on how do you think CUET is complementing and aligning with the vision of 2020? What aspects do you think are beneficial? And what can students and teachers do to capitalize on this new opportunity? We start with Ms. Poonam Kuchetti. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Devyani. and warm welcome and good afternoon to all the participants. Well, I have my, what should I say, there's always pros and cons. And I think recently I was in another webinar where we were talking about, hits and misses of certain aspects of the NEP, the implementation of the NEP. So I think you very rightly said 2 years, everybody was in lockdown, the schools were not operating physically, and everybody, I think, was facing different kinds of challenges related with online teaching. So I think when change is brought about, first of all, it needs to be thought through very thoroughly. All the stakeholders and all the people involved need to be consulted before we arrive at a decision of this magnitude. Which I felt was probably, so the intent might be good, as you said, wanting to have a common entrance test simply because the different boards that are operating probably have, kind of inflated marking. And as you said, cutoffs in universities, touching the 100% mark. So all these issues were there before us, definitely. But was the common entrance test the answer to this? What was it that sort of spurred this decision to come up with this and at this time? So I think even the timing was a little not thought through. Maybe another year down the line, it would have been a better decision when people were more prepared, when the kind of doubts and clarity that is missing, there's still everybody. I mean, I think even you may call us an expert, but there's a fair amount of ambiguity and lack of clarity. And, you really don't know what the outcome will be, once the children take this test for the first time. Is it really going to serve the purpose it was intended to serve? These are all things that time will tell. So I personally think it's been a hurried kind of a decision.
Thank you so much. As Ms. Poonam Kuchetti says, that there have been hits and misses when we talk about implementation of NEP, and this decision could have been little deferred, maybe for a year. Let's hear out what Ms. Shalini Jaiswal has to say. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So I would echo some of the thoughts that Poonam ma'am shared. First of all, we need to understand what is the objective and how it is aligned. So definitely the objective is good. The objective is to bring standardization, and standardization always leads to uniformity. And we know that when there is uniformity, there is transparency, then we will lead to a fair kind of assessment system and examination system where children were preparing themselves for multiple universities into multiple formats. There will be one answer to all of that. Probably we can call it, India's answer to a SAT or a GRE. But to reach there, we need to first make the students aware. And I've just moved from Mumbai, and I can tell you for sure that my students were completely unaware of CUET. Now, tomorrow is supposed to be the last date for application, and children are still into their board examination. They're appearing into their board examinations. For them to have a mindset of application into universities and to understand the nitty-gritties of it, I think this is not the right time. As Poonam ma'am also said, that after 2 years, we are trying to come back to the normal, from the new normal to the real normal. And students, teachers, parents, everybody is trying to, come back to that. At this time, to introduce an absolutely new system where there are a lot of deliberations that need to be brought into, because I was just reading that one of the universities said that you have to apply for the domain subjects, only the ones you've taken in your class 12. Now, for example, if a science student wants to go in for humanities, why would the child appear for a physics paper and not a sociology or a psychology paper? So all those things need answers, and we as schools need answers for that. So, I mean, somebody needs to be really orienting us into all the procedures well, so that we can convey the same information to our students and parent body. Thank you.
Very well said. And I'm sure, it seems really ironical. 6th May is the last date. I'm sure by midnight, there will be a pushing of the date to another 10 or 15 days, which I suppose, because as students aren't even aware, they are in the middle of taking their exam, and this is not the right time. So let's hear out from our person from the Office of Director of Admissions, somebody who's been dealing with admissions. So let's take the other side of the table view. Yes, Mr. Sudhir, what you would like to say?
Thank you, ma'am. I think rightly said by Shalini ma'am and Poonam ma'am before me. There are benefits as well as drawbacks from this policy, because we usually what the main claim is equal opportunity is given to the student, but down the line, maybe 1 or 2 years, it will be another competitive exam where students with more resources will be preparing well. It's like a professional guidance they will be getting. Then what about the students who are from a regionally backward area, how they will be preparing for CUCT if they are aiming for, because they can put effort in their subjects like physics, chemistry, maths. They can put effort and get good grades with their teachers' guidance, but cracking a competitive exam, they need some special guidance, because which other students will be getting, because it's a competitive exam. It will be a competitive exam down the line. So likewise, equal opportunity is there. Now the IP marks won't have that much effect while choosing this universities. Only it will be there. What the claim is, it will be there. 50% is minimum is required. And as rightly said by Shalini ma'am, if there will be a stream change, what is the criteria? How I can change a stream as a physics person who I want to venture into commerce? So what I need to do? So this kind of clarity is still yet to be there, and students are still confused in this regard. So what I need to do and how I can apply. And I know last year, because of the pandemic, there were no marks, and they want some exams as a criteria to examine or evaluate these students before getting into admitted universities. And because of this, some universities might lose their ethos also, because it's a drawback from university side, because they have their own curriculum. Some autonomy will be losing from university side, where they have their own curriculum. Now everything is coming under one exam, so they don't have some preference. So that way university is also having a drawback, because they will lose their ethos, so which is there from years. So that is one drawback from university side. And one thing is clarity of rank. With the CUCT rank, can I apply for other domains also? Like suppose I got a humanities rank, I wrote a humanities specific exam, subject domains exam, but with that rank, can I apply only for that courses, or other courses also can I apply? So this kind of clarities is not yet there. I think it's rushed way more. I think there
So
should be
we all
more
agree.
clarity. Yes.
Yeah. So
So
I'll make you hold on to this content for the next question. That means we all agree. We have
yes.
somebody with us who, Mr. Zardar, Principal, Green Valley School, Srinagar. Though the webinar is based on Lucknow, but then we get a perspective from a region where they do face problems when it comes to normal conducting of classes and preparing students. Let's hear his perspective out before we move on to our next segment. Yes, Mr. Zardar.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving the opportunity in the first instance.
Very briefly, sir, only 2 minutes. Only 2 minutes.
Yeah. I tell you that, well, in the first instance, it's a welcome sign that people living in the remotest areas, they have an access to the best of the universities. Previously, it used to be a prerogative of the students who lived in metropolitans and the big cities. And we know that, well, India lives in its villages. And then the students had not had access to the quality education. Now, the fundamental premises of the program of conducting this common entrance test for undergraduate courses is that it aims to provide an access to the quality education. So I don't feel that, well, it will in any way, I'm sorry that I beg to differ with one of the panelists there, that it's going to impair the ethos of the topmost universities. Whatever the ethos they have, but the students who are living in the remotest areas, they too have a right to have access to the best of the universities there. And I'm sure that, well, regarding the timing, it's, even if the government had taken it up for the next year, even then we would have come up with the problem that, well, not this year, not this year. It's better to start it somewhere as early as is possible, rather than deferring it for the longer period of time. And this is not a new thing. It's though the fundamental thing about the national education policy is that it wants to give the best of the education to the best of the minds. And it has really reoriented whole of the system of education in India. And this type of test is not only that, well, it was missing in India, so far as the Western countries are concerned. So this type of test is there. So I personally feel that, well, it's better to go with it, whatever the timing, leaving that, well, whether the students are prepared for it. I'm sure that, well, students are prepared for it. And then I feel that, well, this is a very, very good step, a welcome step to provide an access to the quality education there. That's what this National Testing Agency is meant for. And that's what we are looking for.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zagarkar. And yes, we are here to bring in different perspectives. And I agree with you that somewhere we had to start. But the only thing I feel is that we are starting too many things suddenly at the same point of time. So schools are starting this year. Exams are being held offline, online, term 1, term 2. For a child, it's too much to handle, too many new things. That is the whole idea. Yes, we completely agree. We had to start somewhere.
I'm sorry to cut it. That, well, we adults, we look at things from our own adult perspective.
Yes,
I know that students have wonderful capability and ability there. Only that we adults we underestimate them.
Thank you so much, sir. Edudevs, can we have, before we move on, I would just like to take this opportunity to we've gathered some information of CUET, and just for the benefit of our audience, we would like to display it through 3-4 slides. Can we very hurriedly show these slides before we move on to the next segment? We cannot see. Anyways, I'll come back to the screening of this slide later. I don't want to lose on to my interaction with the panelists. Please stop sharing the screen. So coming to a question to both Ms. Shalini Jaiswal and to Ms. Poonam Kuchetti. Ma'am, what can the schools do to familiarize students with new structure, like the MCQ format, choosing the appropriate subjects, application to appropriate universities? There has been too many things at this point of time, which Shalini ma'am was just referring to, that there are ambiguity risks. But having said that children will have to take and will have to apply for CUET in case they aspire to take admission to the central universities. And some of the, I think, deemed universities and degree colleges are also opting for the same. Please stop sharing the screen so that the panelists can speak. Yes, ma'am. Shalini ma'am, you can start first.
I think what the schools can do is that, so MCQ based assessment is something that the boards are already have taken up. So like ICSE, the semester 1 examination was all MCQ. We familiarized students into how to attempt those. And actually MCQ, kind of the preparation for MCQ has to be more detailed rather than a subjective kind of a paper. So that I think schools have already taken up. What schools need to do now is that make children aware of the whole procedure. I think coming from the ICSE school, I can say that we train our students for subject choice right from class 9. When children come from class 8 to class 9, we train them how you should opt for subjects. But now with this kind of a system, CUET, what we should let children do, most of the schools, they keep a criteria of marks that if you attain this percentage, you take this subject, math, science, and so on and so forth. Now we should look at children's aptitude and more of their interest, because CUET talks about children taking subjects as per their interest. So an interest inventory can be maintained of the students, and a proper career guidance should be given to them when they come in class 11 based on their interests into various subjects, that what are the domain subjects that you would opt for, because that is a key factor of CUET. So the domain subjects that they look for, the 6 subjects that they have to prepare themselves for as domain subjects, that all. But in a nutshell, I think the schools need to first be oriented into it, made to understand what are the smaller details about the fine lines about CUET, so that, as I said earlier also, we can convey it well to our students and teachers. Thank you.
Somewhere before I move on to Poonam ma'am, too much of emphasis has been on MCQ. MCQ term 1 was like that. In any case, when the children were 2 years online, again, we were juggling with some kind of pattern which had less to do with writing. Wouldn't this have an impact on their creativity, literacy, reading, writing skills, which is so important? I think that's one of the key skills that are to be honed, in the school time. So what do you have to say to this, Poonam?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, this point about an MCQ, totally MCQ format of exam. That's another thing which is a big question mark, because we've already seen the adverse impacts over the last 2 years. Now that kids have come back, their written skills perhaps have been hardest hit. So definitely that is one angle that needs to be reviewed. And as far as the support goes to the kids, I think, we have a full-fledged career counselor on board, and we do a mapping of one-on-one every kid right from class 9 and above. So I think that's the kind of support, if it is available in terms of their interests, the subject choices, their own aspirations, what they intend to take up, and how do we support them in terms of the universities they can apply to, what kind of combination of subjects would they want to go ahead with. So there are various aspects which are sort of not only handled, but the career counselor supports each child. And I think that's one way in which we can sort of prepare them for the CUET as well, as we would have done even if CUET had not been there. Children at the end of the day need that support, not only for Indian but foreign universities, and what kind of scholarships maybe they can apply for in case they're not financially sound. So that support is really essential, I think.
I would like to ask Pramini ji on this note that what do you think would be a difference now? Initially it was a pressure on the teachers, educators to, the board results held a lot of importance, and so children were, groomed to answer the 4 markers, the 6 markers, and the end, all those things, the MCQs, the practical aspect. Now, what will be the emphasis of the school heads? That, okay, it's fine, just ensure 50%, 60% in boards, but you can, because the principals will have to read their annual reports, and that is where they will have to display how many students went to which universities. So, Pramini ji, what will happen now?
Thank you for the question. Very meaningful. But before I answer the question, I basically want to, understand a few things. My perspective is that the universities, I mean, it had to happen, so it has happened. It's okay, whatever be the time. Is it possible for the examination body to now to orient the schools, as Shalini was saying, that if schools, a core group of teachers of the school counselor, it'll be nice if the university educates them about this test. And when I say educate, it's not about the pattern. How does it matter whether it's an objective type or a test where you have to test your writing skills, a question of 4 marks or 5 marks? For each one of them, one has to prepare. They should specify the skills that they're going to test. Now, when I say skills, then it'll be nice if they specify what will be the testing on the basis of memory. Are they looking at application skills as well? Because to me, application is a very important part. If we really have to fulfill this objective of having employability in our country, then we don't have to look at memory alone. So we need to specify whether they'll be testing only the memory-based questions, only the content part, or its application and higher order thinking as well or not. We've understood the format, that there are objective questions and 1 mark is deducted if you don't answer it right, so that the probability of guessing is gone. But then instead of simply saying that we are going to conduct, we better specify what is going to be the module, and we should look at that. And I think all educators must instead emphasize that there has to be a component of application-based questions, so that schools also change their course. Now coming back to your question, if that is specified, then the school knows what it has to do, because it's a full 2-year course which is there in the school, 11 and 12, and thereafter the child writes the exam. So the school gets the time to prepare the children according to those skills which have to be tested in this entrance examination. And then once the school is preparing them for these skills, there is no reason why there should be a pressure on teachers. If the board result is good, automatically the children will find their way into the best of universities. The lot which scores well on all these skills gets admission in a best university. So this is what I feel should be clarified before. And as Shalini ji has said, I reiterate that teachers, schools, principals, their core groups, they need to be oriented, because the only flaw in this whole system is that students have not been oriented. It should have been announced in the beginning of the session rather than the middle of the session, in the beginning of the session, so that the students would know what they are into. And this would also not lead into that mushrooming of coaching centers. If we have to avoid that, if we have to look at that, then we better look into these aspects. Everybody is responsible for this mushrooming of university, such coaching centers, because they hamper the school life of a child. All the things that the child has to learn in school, instead of attending school, he will start attending those coaching centers.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ramani ji.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I think that I stopped you on this because this is a very relevant thing, because the only organizations or institutions that are making a lot of buzz about CUET are the coaching centers. So would they capitalize on this? That will become a very big question. And that is why the educator empowerment comes in perspective. That is where making people aware about the pattern, because anyways, it's not rocket science. They are saying that we are going to test the class 12th syllabus. Then, and suddenly we've seen only the coaching centers talk about this. And that is why, as a system, as an organization, we thought, let the schools come and speak about it. I would thank you so much, the panelists. I would like to ask Mr. Sudhir and Ms. Kuchetti one question, that the CUET might pose yet another entrance exam with, question banks, and suddenly, if you see the net, if you see the groups, people are coming up with, even before there is any clarity, people are coming up with compendiums, guides, small handbooks, which have put in questions together and disseminating. Does this format have counterintuitive effect on the overall holistic learning, which is the ultimate aim and aspiration behind this whole, process? And is it in line with the NEP policy? Would then it remain in line with the NEP policies of, holistic and high order and global? So what will happen?
So,
Yes, Sudhir.
yes, I think it's pretty much aligned with NEP. You know why? Because, ma'am, if you see in the past years, schools usually promote, they got 98 percentile. I mean, I observed from my experience, they got 80 people or 100 people out above 98 percentile or 95 percentile. They are behind marks. I mean, marks oriented learning. This was there in the past 10 years. If you see, all the schools were behind it. They're only making child to get good percentile in 12th, not making them aware of the concept. If you see in our country, all the competitive exams are not selection process, they're elimination process. Okay, as a person who cracked JE, so I can say, if you have good conceptual knowledge, it's easy to crack the competitive exams. As a school management, this is what you should be emphasizing on, which will be much in terms of aligning with the NEP, because you should not be behind marks. You should be learning the subjective knowledge, conceptual knowledge. So that might be happening through this, which I will be saying. I know there will be effect of coming up coaching centers and all, but that I don't know how we can eradicate is. If schools can inculcate this conceptual knowledge, I think there won't be in more coaching required for students. It's easy. It's another practice exam they need to write. Not extra effort of coaching is required. If they give more conceptual oriented knowledge to students and give them some practice or mock exams for CUCT in school itself, no other coaching is required. So that's what my take on this. I think, I don't know how Kocheti ma'am, because it's a school side and school perspective, I just want to take it from ma'am.
Well,
Yes,
what I feel is we are talking about, the school students getting marks, isn't it? This is what we've seen. All the schools advertise their results. So my question is, what was the need for CUET? Apparently the logic is that because different boards, there's no parity, there is a lot of leniency in marking, everybody is coming up with 98, 99%. Shouldn't there have been a focus on, investing and improving the standard of and the quality of assessment in schools, first of all? Shouldn't the focus have been on that rather than, it's like you're showing symptoms of an illness, you're only addressing the symptoms, you're not getting to the root of the problem. So there is this whole race after marks. It's a culture, it's everybody is running after marks, and that's what the children have been acquiring in the boards. When they step out into the universities, they're found lacking in basic skills, your communication skills, your written skills, your application-based skills. That means something is a problem at the school level. Now, is CUET going to answer this problem? Why is the focus not on schools and the kind of assessments and the kind, not only even before the assessments, the kind of teaching that is happening in schools? I think that is the root area. That is where we need to focus and ensure that the quality of education that is being imparted, the kind of, somebody was talking about, building the basics, building the conceptual thinking, application-based knowledge, all this has to be there at the school level. Only then will it translate into something concrete when the child steps out. And if they are well prepared at the school level, you give them any exam, it doesn't matter. Whether it's a university entrance exam or it is a common entrance, it hardly matters. If the child is so strong in his basics, he can crack any, you don't need any preparation then. This is my personal opinion. So I think we're not addressing the root cause, is what I feel.
Actually. While we see that some experts have welcomed this move, stating that students will no longer have to fill different application forms and would address the different curricula or say state boards, others said it would be against those who are financially challenged backgrounds, who will find it again difficult to prepare as per the NCERT syllabus. One, the financially backward, and two, the students in the state boards. They will, so how will this gap, what are your views? I would rather take this expert views from all of you, because what is the mechanism that state boards are working towards? Will this syllabus structure of NCERT be a boon or a bane for students, especially students who are financially constrained, students who wanted to aspire for central universities? As we see, 54 universities have been put under this umbrella. And also to you, Sudhir, I would like to ask, what is the mechanism that Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham has devised as a university?
Yes, because to align with NEP, what we did is we have a flexible admission process, because we don't encourage students to write only one exam and get admission through it. We ask students to write multiple exams like JEE and all, and because anyway students are preparing for these exams, so they can opt using all this exam, SAT and all. So, but the main advantage is today they are having good scholarships seats available for UG programs in Amrita. 85% of seats. That is the main advantage a student can get. Why? Because today scholarship is not like an educational loan where you need to pay back. So that's an advantage where students can get based on merit, and all the scholarship are based on merit. If you're preparing well for an exam and scoring well in this exam, so the seat will be offered based on the merit score which you have achieved. So, and we address school students problem who are entering into Amrita, we conduct some bridge courses like engineering foundation program, a unique program which we conduct, where we try to inculcate what they will be reading in engineering and what kind of skills they're expected to have as an engineer. Likewise, we conduct these kind of foundation programs so that there won't be any gap once they join a higher education institute, and also they should be filled, because they have been continuously preparing for exams, marks and all. They completely get lost in that vicious cycle, so they don't want to be creative and learn new things. So to address that problem, we try to conduct a lot of unique webinars and programs to help students in this regard. So that's what we try to do.
Okay, and what is your view on this, Ms. Shalini?
I feel that, I just one thought I want to share is that we have now class 11 and 12 starts from 9 only. Children rarely put in a lot of efforts to do well, in their board examination. Why are we not keeping board exam marks as some criteria or weightage into CUET? Why are we eliminating the importance of board examinations absolutely altogether? That's one thought that I really want to see.
No, they are not eliminating. There'll be a percentage of, they are not eliminating completely board exams.
So that's only some of the universities that are saying, okay, we will keep that as a criteria. But CUET says, as an umbrella, that those will not be considered. So why? We should keep some criteria, some weightage of those as well. And then, again, depends on what children, and yes, states also need to be aligned. State curricula needs to be aligned with what CUET has to offer as far as, because just saying that NCERT syllabus doesn't help, as you said. So some kind of orientation, I'm coming to that word again and again, needs to be given to the boards, state boards as well, so that they can prepare their students. Like, for example, when children appear for SAT, we conduct a PSAT examination for them, which is like a preliminary examination. They come to know what will be the format, what will be the kind of questions that will be put up. So if can we have a preliminary kind of examination where children get used to the format, they get used to the whole pattern and everything, and then they appear for that, so that the state board students also can be taken on board. Just a thought that I shared.
Yeah, really appreciate this. Poonamji, if I look at your school, it's a huge school with, what is generally the pattern last few years? What has been the kind of ratio of how many students opt for, central universities, or how many, because there's a lot of culture of degree colleges in, UP specifically. So when, do the degree colleges maintain the same parity as with the central universities? Do the students, what will be the coming picture that you see in probably next 2 years?
Devyani, my school is, the first batch of grade 12 was going to take the exam. So I don't think I'll be able to give you a very, any kind of statistics or data based on what the options have been so far. I think a school that has already had several batches passing out will be, I think, in a better position.
Maybe Pramini could answer this. If Pramini ma'am, are you there?
Yeah. I'm there. See, it is basically, there are some individual colleges where children do want to go, and they are the top-notch colleges, primarily in Delhi. And one of the college outside Delhi is St. Stephen's, much sought after college. But otherwise, Delhi University, definitely they want to go. They do want to go to universities. It all depends on the ranking of the university and the crowd that is there. So I cannot say that it's just a central university. It all depends on the choice of a student depending on the ranking of the university, whether it's a college or a university. The top-notch colleges as well as universities are at par. They're at par. And because they need such a high percentage of marks, so in any school, you have basically primarily just 10 to 12% of the students getting into the top-notch ones. So it's like that. Otherwise, most of them are middle order universities where children find
like to.
Yeah.
Okay. So that
they have no option. Their choice is either a top-notch university or a top-notch college. When it comes to the middle order universities, or not the topmost ranking universities, they always fall below the top-notch colleges. Not that they're a university, so they would like to go there and leave a good college. It's not like that. So I was looking at the colleges which are there, which will be a part of the common entrance test. If some of the colleges have left it and they're really good, they will be sought after. It's not that children will not run after them.
We'll take a quick look at, I think the team has now put up. Can you display share the screen of the presentation for our audience, at least they get some clarity on how and what will be the format, though it's everywhere on the websites, but we just thought we'll take a minute to take you through this. Okay, so we see that the duration, as they say, the Central University Common Entrance will definitely be in 2 slots, and one would be a 3 hours 15 minutes, and the other is 3 hours 45 minutes, depending upon how many subjects you choose in the option 2. The number of questions or sections would be section 1. We have 3 sections in all. Section 1 will be of languages. 50 questions, 40 questions should be attempted. Section 2 is domain specific, where again, you can opt for more subjects. We'll come again back to it. And 40 questions to be attempted out of 50 questions. And then section 3 is the general test, general aptitude, which will have things from logical reasoning, mental ability, and current affairs, general knowledge, etc. And so in all, we have number of sections will be 3. Let's look at the next slide. In fact, 4 sections because, yeah. Next slide, please. So date of examination is tentatively, again, it is tentative, still 1st or the 2nd week of July. As we were talking about the 2 slots, the students could choose the slot depending upon how many subjects they'll be opting in section 2. So one slot 9 a.m. to 12:15 and the other is 3 to 6:45. And slot 1, children, you need to be clear that up to 4 tests it will accommodate depending upon the time limit. So 1A, 1 language, and 2 subjects from section 2 and 3 in general test. Again, slot 2 could have up to 4 everything remains same, up to 4 subjects in section 2 or 3 subjects. Change the slide, please. Please change the slide. Yeah. Now, again, if you look at this slide, it gives very clearly, this is also on our website. You can please log into www.edudevs.com and see this and take a mock test as well. Section 1A with 13 languages, 50 questions, 40 mandatory, 45 minutes. Section IB is only for those who want to pursue language. Only for them. Otherwise, you can only choose 1 language. Section 1A is sufficient for you. Section 2 has 27 domains. As we were seeing in the previous slide, you could choose between 2, 3, 4, but up to a maximum of 6 subjects can be chosen. Section 3 is the general test with the components that I just mentioned. Next slide, please. A candidate is required to opt for one of the specified languages as the medium of paper. Now, medium of paper is different from language selected. Please don't get confused. The question paper of the domain-specific subject and general test will be bilingual. That is, it will be in the medium opted by the candidate and in English. So English will definitely be there. So it's always good to opt for your regional language so that you get clarity in 2 subjects. So if Hindi is your main, mother tongue, you should choose the language Hindi so that you get double option. You can, though, take exam in any. Medium is not the same as language, as I just said, opted as component of the test. Language test is for assessing the proficiency skills of the candidate in language. Next slide, please. Each program gives numerous flexibility for the candidate to appear in CUET. Merit will be based on the highest score that a candidate gets by considering all the combination of subjects in which she appears in the CUET. In other words, the best combination to benefit the candidate will be done. So you should be very intelligent while filling in your application form. And I really request the authorities to further, give some window of 10 more days to the students to fill their forms. Gap year will not be a bar, but then you will have to, class 12 will have to appear in the CUET 2022. For other information, there are a number of, but I don't want to eat away this time and take this time away from our panelists. This was some basic information. You can always log on to www.edudevs.com. Please stop sharing the screen. Thank you. So, another bang-on question. Sudhir, is MCQ format of CUET better or worse than the format of board examination? Tell me.
You see, our country is still yet to be equipped to evaluate the subject-based questions, because if you see, USA have mastered it. They have an exam like GRE. Okay, we doesn't have the manpower and evaluation standards to evaluate subject specific, but our policymakers want to do it, but they might be doing it in the coming days. So I feel there should be at least 2-3 subject specific questions to test that knowledge also. That is mandatorily should be there when they are entering higher academics, because not only just choosing writing these competitive exams in MCQ format, we should evaluate them in subject specific questions also. Like if you see the entrance exams like JEEs have subject specific questions also. Likewise, CUCT, if there should be questions like that, it will be more beneficial, and it will be having more quality and standards also for these exams. So that will be my main suggestion.
In the beginning, thank you so much. In the beginning, Shalini ma'am was talking about a discrepancy, and I have a question here in front of me that, if the candidate wants to has science and wants to opt for, humanities, those are those ambiguities which I think students need to get that clarity. So the question is, first, candidates could only appear for those domains. Suppose that subject that you choose is not falling in the 27 domains, then what will be, how to tackle this situation? Any panelist could answer. Like, if the student is unable to find a particular subject in CUET list, she will have to choose the domain paper that is most similar to the subject she studied in class 12. Now, this is quite ambiguous. How can similar be the defining or the defining criteria to choose a subject? Pramini, could you answer?
I can't think about an answer for this.
Yeah,
that is why yeah, we need to be oriented about this. We have to
because for such situations, how can students so for biotechnology, biochemistry, for example, class 12 will have to take biology test in CUET, since biochemistry is not a part of the 27 domains. So then biology, the child will have to self-study, and class 12 biology is not that simple. So what does the student do? The student goes to the coaching center. Yes, Sudhir, you're smiling. What you have to say to this?
No, that's the main problem, ma'am, because today there might be students, lot of students who might be interested in stream change after +2. Not everybody goes. A PCM student might want to go to commerce side. A PCM student might want to study humanities. So what exam he needs to write, there more clarity is required, because what subject he need to choose. So if he choose commerce, he needs guidance. How he will get it in this short span of time, it's unaware of. I don't. Will school give it? Will professional guidance coaching he will be going to? So that kind of uncertainty is there in student mind. What needs to be done before it's based on +2 marks? They can get shortlisted for university. Now in this exam, it's domain specific subjects are there. How I need to choose if I want to do a stream change after my +2? So that uncertainty need to be addressed, I think, properly.
See, the problem is not for the science students. They have already been in this kind of mechanism, and teachers were conditioned with it. Tell me, what is Amrita following? Would it be an amalgamation of the entrance marks and boards, or are you also creating another, system where? How will you suppose in
actually
commerce?
What we try to do in Amrita is we won't give much priority to +2 marks. We will be considering it as a basic eligibility criteria. It's like students should have a minimum 60% above segregate in all the physics, chemistry, maths. Suppose why I know there is a policy coming up where maths might not be mandatory for engineering, but if you see, engineering is loaded with maths. So maths is compulsory if you want to do engineering. Even our government policies comes up and say maths is not mandatory. Then universities need to think of conducting a bridge course for maths. So we mostly emphasize on the scores which they got in the competitive exams, like which they are already writing, like JEE mains or AAA or SAT. So based on those scores, see, if you see SAT today, it's a general test. So students who write SAT wants to go to abroad. So sometimes they got stuck here in India and they don't have an option. We accepted admission through SAT scores. It's a general test where maths is not there. So likewise, we give chance to students where they can write lot of exams. So it's not only based on one single exam we will give admission. So that kind of flexibility is there with the student today to enter our institute. So
But then for SAT preparation and all, they do take
yes, yes,
reports to coaching centers. That
yes,
means coaching centers will have a gala time
we'll
and
have that.
capitalize on CUET.
So
Let's not forget that.
that's
Let's
what my
not
first
forget that.
that's what my
Yes.
first statement is. CUCET might become another IIT exam or another NEET exam. That might happen. I think that's what my thought is, because I don't know if that happens means most privileged kids who are in tier 1 cities will have an advantage because they have access to good coaching centers. So what will the remote and background area students will do? They won't have
Sir,
access to it.
यही तो problem है. This is the main thing. How will the underprivileged children compete with those? Then again, there is a very clear cut, creamy layer which goes to the central universities. And
Yes.
again, the whole idea is defeated. We talk about holistic, we talk about other things. And again, we are going back to, I mean, of course, the MCQs would have different abilities. Teachers will have to be, empowered with the knowledge based and the application understanding, which they are, of course, doing, but now they will be. What would, as we now come to the end of this discussion, I would want each one of you to please give your one last statement and concluding statement of your take on CUET and how best we can use it now that we have to deal with it. We start with Shalini ma'am.
Okay, to sum it all, I think what we need to do is see the success of any policy or any process lies in its execution. So execution process needs to be very, very clear. All these ambiguity and the answers that we are seeking today should be very clear and defined so that, children take it up as a way, as a benefit to enter into the central university and do not take it as another burden of examination. So the
Thank you so much.
intention is very good. The intention is very, very fair. The execution now is the key.
That was the case. That is the case with the ADP as well. The intention, it's a very, very high order, robust, very futuristic document, but implementation is, as Poonam ma'am right in the beginning said, that we have experiences, the hits and misses. So yes, Poonam ma'am, what is your concluding statement?
Well,
and that is on record.
my concluding statement is that CUET or JEE or any kind of entrance exam, I think the answer lies in what we are doing in our schools. As a school head, I think it's more important to absolutely strengthen the foundation, to build on skills, especially higher order thinking skills, to empower our teachers and students, and not worry too much about the exams that they will take, because if you've built that base, I think then they'll be able to crack anything. This is my personal opinion.
Thank you so much. It's important to be strong at the core and foundation of it. Pramini ji, yes, what is your take on this?
Well, I would say don't go with a book under your arm all the time. Work on your mental aptitude and general awareness and conceptual clarity. So when you're writing the boards, don't think this is the board pattern and this question will be there. Work on conceptual clarity. That will take you far wherever you go.
Yeah, I think very well said that if you go rely on conceptual clarity, because they've already said the syllabus would be based on class 12 syllabus. So conceptual clarity is the underlying theme of cracking the CUET. Yes, so there's something different and something, a great takeaway from counselor, admission counselor. Yes.
Yes, I think for students, for this students, it's a unique opportunity because getting a chance to be admitted in 54 universities with one exam is a huge thing actually, because it's a huge task if you want to apply individually for these universities. And if you prepare well and attempt this exam well, you have a good way to get good course in these universities, because these are reputed universities in our country, and there is no denying that. So with one exam, if you prepare well, it's a good way to achieve your dream also. So I suggest students should take it more seriously. I know the time is less, but they should prepare well for this exam, because sometimes we can't deny it, their future sometimes lie on one exam also, because we can't deny the point. But now it happened like that, they have shortage of time. I ask students to make use of the uh, boom which they are getting from the government like this, because I think there might be more universities adding up to this list also in the coming days.
Yeah, thank you so much. I also have my friend, Mr. Zargar. Mr. Zargar, what is your concluding statement?
Yeah, I feel that, well, the initial hiccups of initiating the CUT undergraduate test will be there. But I'm sure that with the passage of time, the things will improve. And my only humble suggestion to all the panelists is that, well, we must initiate the process of changing the pedagogy, wherein we can start definitely conceptualizing the subject there rather than giving the information, because I know that till now we have been passing on the information to the students. Now is the time to just make an attempt to conceptualize the understanding of the subject. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope your students have filled in the form of the application for CUET, sir.
Yeah, ma'am, I was like anything after them that, well, you must try, they must try their hand there in the CUT.
Yeah. Great,
Thank
great. With this, we come to the end of this discussion. The CUET seems to be a step in the right direction. We all are on the same page when it comes to this. But we all also felt that somewhere the preparedness is not complete. We are unprepared to handle this robust event that will happen in the first and the second week of July. And we hope the universities to please take the bull by the horns and start the orientation process with the staffs, with the students, parents, management, to properly equip them to with the know-how of CUET. Yet we must not ignore the mental stress this exam announcement may have caused to the students, as they are expected to suddenly shift their focus from board exams to an entrance exam. Students, you don't need to just be intelligent when you're preparing for your board exams. The syllabus is the same. It is the conceptual clarity you need to focus on. We are hoping today's discussion and our panel expert opinions helped with an easier understanding and navigation of CUET as a concept, as well as a very important reality today. The students applying this year to undergraduate courses are going to undergo a completely revamped process and structure, and time will be a good measure of whether the CUET is actually beneficial or not. But as Mr. Zagarkar said, and I completely agree with him, it had to start. So why now? Now that we have it, let's put all our energies to make it a success. Thank you so much for joining us today, our esteemed panelists. Thank you so much for sparing this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Devyani.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.